You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 165 of Retired Racehorse Radio on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network. Brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products and Horse Radio Network. Retired Racehorse Radio is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse. Brought to you in cooperation with Retired Racehorse Project and New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program.
On today's show, we're learning more about the new nonprofit Stall 13 and an unusual case the organization has recently taken in just in time for the holidays. Then we chat with New Vocations Bridget Heasley for a new training tip and a very cool adoptable horse of the week. Stay tuned.
And they're off on Retired Racehorse Radio, the podcast that is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse.
This is Kristen Kovach-Bentley in Jamestown, New York.
And this is Lee Beamer in Whitfield, Virginia, and you're listening to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Lee.
Kristen.
What has Finn done to her foot now?
Oh my goodness. Well, she just suddenly started being lame, as she does. Knock on wood, I will say it has been a really long time since this has happened. And I'm just like, well, certainly it's an abscess. And side adventure, 2 Thanksgivings ago, so the same time of year, one of our retired thoroughbreds that we have on the farm got really, really lame to the point where I was like, oh my God, we're going to have to put him down. I had called folks to come dig him a grave.
Oh my God. Happy Thanksgiving.
Right. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to be late to dinner. And had our vet come out. I was like, well, let's just x-ray him first. And it was an abscess that blew the next day.
Hey.
Quite an expensive bill. So with that backstory, I was like, I'm going to not worry about it. Certainly it's an abscess because it started slow and then it got really bad. And she was 3-legged lame.
Geez.
And it finally got to the point where she would allow me to soak her hoof. So that was good. But a few days of that and nothing. And we had a regularly scheduled appointment at Tech yesterday for a trim and her shockwave therapy for her back. So I gave him a call Monday morning and I said, hey, do you think you guys have time to check out her foot and see if there's an abscess in there? So
yeah, fire up that x-ray machine, please. Yeah.
Right. So they were like, well, let's take some passes at it. She hoof tested sore, of course. And they dug and they couldn't get anything. And then they were like, okay, well, let's take some x-rays. And they did. And Dr. Traeger, who was actually Travis's wife, who we spoke to a few weeks ago, she said, it's not the coffin bone. And then I was like, okay, good. Well, I'm glad I didn't, just blow things off for a week. Something crazy happening. But it was so deep and they couldn't really see it on the x-ray. And Dr. Traeger said, let me just give it one more pass. And so she did. And I heard this pop and across the room just shot this abscess. And it was gross and it was very, very deep. And Dr. Traeger said, well, this is unusual presentation. And I said, well, that would be Finn.
That tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. So
jeez.
She is pretty much sound today. She's much happier. They drew a cute little heart on her bandage when she left the other day. And I sent you a picture of the abscess today. I mean, it is quite deep and she kind of looks like she could wear toe socks now the way they cut it out. But
I know that picture. I was like, is this a cow? Like what? Yeah. Like it looks like a cleft foot.
She didn't need that part of her hoof, I guess.
That's the rollover point. It's all right.
Yeah, she'll be fine. Yeah, so that was crazy. And she's fine, luckily. So
jeez. I mean, not that like I'm encouraging like a weird pissing contest between Shorty and Finn, but we are coming up on a year since Keratoma Gate. So
oh yes.
Yeah.
Gosh.
When and like much the same of like, oh boy, this requires veterinary attention. This requires a lot. Actually, right before we were starting this recording, OSU called me and they were like, "Hi, we're looking to collect feedback from people who have had experiences with the Equine Center." I was like, "I love you guys. You have to call me tomorrow. I'm about to record a podcast, but thank you." And they were like, "Oh,
Right.
okay." I was like, "Because I've been there twice now, so."
Yeah, well, we got to be thankful for these vet schools. I mean, they are so great to work with. Yeah.
Like honestly, yeah, when like if you zoom out and think about like the reality of it, like the veterinary schools are actually really carrying, I think, a burden for a lot of us who do not live in close proximity to like clinics that can do all the same things.
Right.
So yeah, when you think about it, like yes, hats off to you guys at veterinary schools because you are helping a lot of us.
Yeah.
So
Excellent
yeah.
resources to have. And yeah, the thoroughbreds and, I guess are pretty dramatic about their pain. So it's kind of hard to know when to call in that, with something like an abscess, I always think it's broken, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've done that because he abscessed the same foot earlier this fall, and I was like,
yeah,
it's back. I know it. I know the keratoma. And like, knock wood, it was an isolated single,
that's good.
single
Yeah.
abscess. But I was like, oh my god, it's the same foot. And then I looked, and I was like, okay, statistically speaking, according to the Google, like God only knows how accurate this is. Like, I don't know, something like 20 to 30% of them can come back, and I was like, what? Like the surgeon didn't tell me that, but
yeah.
And she was so confident, and we can go back and reference. I don't remember which episode it was, but we did have the surgeon on who did Shorty's surgery to talk about keratomas,
Nice.
and she was so confident that she'd gotten the margins. I was like, it turns out it was just an abscess.
Oh man. Well, that is good. Do his tend to come out the coronary band or the bottom?
They do. They tend to come out the top. And like, this is where I'm almost like, I don't know that soaking does anything. I should have asked Travis this when he was on. Like, does soaking actually help?
Right. I'm not convinced that it does.
I'm not convinced
personally.
either. Now, again, we are not experts. We are just two dummies with a podcast. So don't necessarily take this as gospel for any listeners who are like, oh my God, I agree. I heard it on a podcast. No, you heard it from two people who don't know any better. So don't listen to us. Please ask your vet or your farrier. But I am.
Yes. We are not.
And my own farrier is like, like she's a little waffly on it. So I'm gonna go back to that. She doesn't know. She doesn't know how much good it does either. So
right. Yeah.
It gives us something to do, right? It gives us something to do where we feel like we're helping.
Right. We feel like we're making a difference, and usually that's never when it blows. So
yeah, and then usually it just blows out the top, and then you just have to wait for it to grow out the front. And
yeah,
it's fine.
Maybe controversial opinion. I'd rather it come out the top.
I think you can really tell that it's out at that point.
Yeah, and less chance of dirt and stuff getting back in there. I think.
I do. Yes, I agree. I think it's easier to keep clean in most conditions.
Yeah,
my horses live out all the time, and it does make it challenging. So do yours, though. Yours are out.
Yeah. So I had to take the bandage off that Tech did today and put my own on there, and I was like, gosh, this is not going to be near as good as theirs. So yeah, she's wearing a little hoof boot over it since she is out 24/7. So send some good vibes my way that I can fake the wrap until we get it out of there. I think before the weekend she'll be good to go though. So
I bet it will. What's your favorite like poulticing agent?
Well, they are having me put, I guess it's not really a poulticing agent, but the retired Furazone on it right now.
Oh, ooh, spicy. Okay.
They were like, do you still have some of that? And I was like, I sure do. And one of the young girls was like, do you know you need to wear gloves with that? And I'm like, well, I didn't know that my whole life until recently.
I've made it this far without, so yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, like,
but no,
swabbing that on something and then eating a sandwich or something at the barn. I don't know, but I was like, yeah, I'll
rub
wear
your
gloves.
eye, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we're putting on it now. As far as soaking it, I like to soak in a little bit of like a little iodine mixture. Yeah. So what about you?
Do you have warm water in your barn, or do you have to haul it in?
Oh, I haul it from my house, baby, in a Lowe's bucket.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do the same thing. So if I haul it from home or from the farm stand office, which is part of the farm, but is like you have to drive to get there. I think it's a half-mile walk. So like I don't really want to do that with a bucket of water. if I drive it, I got I think like a sweatshirt or something maybe from the RRP office in like one of those like seal wrapped like plastic envelope things. And I found it was exactly the right size to fit over the bucket like a sleeve.
Ooh.
So I put that on top
tip.
so the water doesn't slosh all over the truck. And I was like, haha, I'm so smart. And then also like Grandpa's house next door has very hot water, but you have to catch him while he's home because I don't have a key. So if he's not home, then you're out of luck. You don't have hot water. So that is a challenge.
It is. But that's a good tip. And if anybody else has good tips for hauling hot water long distances, please let us know. We're always ready for a good tip.
Also like the good old fashioned Nalgene. I will die on the hill that I think the like whatever the like Yeti, the beginning of the Yeti era was the worst thing. Like Nalgenes are so useful. This is like a weird tangent. There's so many other things you can do with an Nalgene that you can't do with a Yeti or a Stanley or whatever, like the cup du jour is. Like bring me my Nalgene. I will die on that hill. I will get the microplastics. I don't care.
Right, we got them anyway.
Yeah, like 2 Nalgenes of hot water from home are like the perfect warm temperature by the time I get to the barn with like a 20-minute drive. So I've done that before too. That's particularly useful if you're like soaking hay cubes. Yeah. Not as much for soaking a foot. Like I'd rather have like hot, but Shorty's also a giant weenie. I did have a friend turn me on to the IV bag for soaking rather than like the pan.
Oh yes. That's what they did with her yesterday after they got it out. They put a little bag around her foot and taped it up. And
yes,
I'm like,
if you can get your hands on that.
Easier. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's getting one that goes high. Like Shorty has big feet. So the IV bag is even a little small. Even if I just like very carefully just trim the end, it gets too low. So I would love to find like a heavier duty, like taller bag that I can like tape like mid cannon bone. That's the part on the horse.
And then they can't get out of it.
Right, because he'll like flail his foot around and like hop around and be like, I hate it, get it off, and short bag, he's like, wee, and he's flung it across the barn, in 2 seconds. But they are fairly durable and I can get multiple uses out of them. And every time, actually I have a friend in Virginia who when she comes visit me, she'll bring me like a stack of IV bags. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing to bring to your friend, but I appreciate it so much.
Nice.
Yeah, but now my new vet can actually get them a lot easier as well. So that is my pro tip for the day. And as far as like a poultice, I sort of like go through a rotation of like Animal Intex. No, like the black goopy stuff from Tractor Supply. And then like, no, this like green minty Epsom paste. And like none of it ever does anything because it ends up coming out the top anyway. So frankly, I don't know anymore.
Yep. That green minty Epsom paste smells good, but it never works.
Smells great. Does nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, goodness. Well,
all right. Well, this has been Abscess Treatment with Kristen and Lee.
Yeah.
Just in time for wet weather. So you're welcome, everyone.
Hopefully we don't have to do this again. Until next year.
Yeah, hopefully this is a one and done.
That's right.
Well, just to get us right in the mood for, we have a good show ahead of us. Plenty of good stuff to come. But first, we're going to hear from our premier sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products.
Is your horse a hard keeper or a performance horse who needs to gain weight but stay calm? Is he a senior horse who can't maintain his weight? Do you have a mare or stallion that you want to keep in top breeding condition or a growing horse predisposed to orthopedic issues? Equine nutritionists recommend the use of high-quality fat to provide healthy calories. Equijoule stabilized rice bran is formulated with all natural ingredients that are high in healthy fats and fibers and low in starch. It helps to maintain weight on hard-to-keep horses and horses with elevated energy demands, such as equine athletes, brood mares in early lactation, breeding stallions, and growing horses. To learn more, visit kppusa.com or call 859-873-2974.
Well, we are here with one of my favorite new New Yorkers. Welcome to New York State, Aubrey. Is it snowy yet?
Yes, I have about 6 inches outside. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, welcome. We love it here. I guess you've been up here for like a year at this point, haven't you? I probably
Been about a year and a half. I've hit all the seasons.
Great. Okay, so you're not a New Yorker anymore. You're just a New Yorker. Welcome.
Yes, we're going to run with that.
Yeah, love it. All right. Well, so we've had you on the show before under your epigram eventing and Kibu Sport Horses umbrella. And we have you on in like a slightly different context this time, which I think is very cool because you have started somewhat recently the nonprofit Stall 13, which has, I think, a really cool angle to it. So tell us a little bit about Stall 13 and how you got that started.
Okay, it depends on how long a story you want, but the most efficient story I can do is when I started retraining thoroughbreds, I like the challenging cases. I've always liked the challenging cases. I like the horses that walk in and I go, how do we fix this? And for years, I just took these cases on and ran them out of my savings account. I mean, these are horses that come in where somebody's like, yes, they're going to be worth money. And you're like, no, we have to spend all of that to fix this. And so I do the dumb thing, right? The thing that's right for horses, but never good for business, which is take them on, get them sorted. And, it's a loss in the long run, but it's a huge win for the horse and it's a huge win for the community. And I sleep well at night doing this. So I've been doing this for ages and have been talking about doing some form of nonprofit that does that for quite a long time. Problem is I'm terrible at organization and I'm terrible at paperwork. So when I moved to New York, I had been mulling this idea around. I was like, maybe I can actually get this started. I had been talking a lot about it at the roundtables I was running out of a program I run called Thoroughbred School, where I teach people to ride thoroughbreds, and then run it like an academic thing where we do roundtables and, talk about stuff. I am an academic through and through. This is what happens. So moved to New York and was getting going with this, but hadn't actually gotten anything on paper, hadn't gotten anyone together, went to the track. And when I was at the track, working with Finger Lakes Finest, just as a volunteer, helping them take some photos, getting to know the track trainers, things like that, one of the trainers from a different barn pulled a horse out of another trainer's barn to list the horse. And the horse was dead lame, like 3-legged lame, walked out. And we're like, we can't even take any jog video. Like, we can't even take any walk video. This horse is like, we've got some issues. And the trainer looks at me and goes, you like thoroughbreds. You like helping thoroughbreds. Please just take him home.
Oh,
and
great.
I was
Thank
like,
you.
I just made the move with, at that point, 11 horses, which has quickly metastasized to 15 from Georgia to New York. I was broke as hell. My truck had broken twice. And my transmission just went. There was no money to just be like, yes, of course I'll take this horse on and go sort him out, right? Of course I wanted to. But I was like, I have no idea how to do this. And so I got thinking and got the ball rolling a bit more. And about a month later, when I was back at the track, same horse was still there. And I was like, crap. So I said, yes, I would just take him home because I make smart decisions like that all the time. Terribly unintelligent, but again, great decision in the long run. And I was like, okay, let's figure out how to do this. And I had 12 horses currently at the barn I was staying at in Bath. And that horse walked into my 13th stall. So that's where we got the name. And 13, I'm born on the 13th. I, went to Colgate, which has 13 as their number. Not that I'm particularly beholden to that university, but there's, trichodecaphobia is a thing, right? The fear of the number 13 I always thought was really silly. But it's always kind of been a lucky number for me, and whatever that means. So I ran with it. And I was like, you know what? We're putting a horse that doesn't necessarily fit because he's not a prop. This is not a horse that's ever going to make me money, right? I can't sell him to a young rider. I can't turn him into an eventer. I have no idea what this horse is going to be. But I brought him home and said, you can have, 4 or 5 months. Let's just do what I do with everybody else. A little bit of turnout, a little bit of stall. We've got some radiographs. We know what's going on with that knee. Everybody says he's not a surgery candidate. So let's just see what happens with a little bit of time and a bit of care and a whole bunch of weight. And lo and behold, 6 months later, that horse was sound. We didn't actually do anything. Me, myself, and I just gave him time. And he went to the makeover this year and was 25th in dressage, despite the fact that the fox hunt came through his dressage test at our walk.
Exciting.
Yeah. We had no walk. We normally have a walk. We had no walk. You hear like, do-do-do, and there goes the fox hunt, like in plain view. And I was like, well, oops. Okay. Oh, well. And so, still like lovely, passed all the soundness tests, did all the things, ran T2 and then did his freestyle as T3. Anyway, I could talk more about Spin because he's serendipitous with where we're going with all of this with Wine Responsibly. But the the great thing was that was Major Spin. And he was basically the catalyst for me to kick this into high gear. I was like, look, I'm broke as hell. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. It's a damn good time to get a nonprofit together. So I called up a handful of my friends and people who I know who know things, right? People who know accounting, people who know how to do finances and law and all of the things and fundraising. Because again, I am not good at organization. I'm a big ideas person and I'm good with the horses. I'm not fantastic at all of the nitty gritty that has to happen to make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Get everybody together. And it took a long time. But we finally got our, what is it? Technically, yeah, it's a 501c3. So we started it, first meeting happened August in 2024. Really got going and got paperwork sent in October and got legitimacy in July of this year. So it's taken a long time to get there. In the meantime, I'm still taking in horses and doing the same thing. And it's really been a ride. But right now it's on a whole other level.
Yeah, right.
Where it has gone. But in this year I had Gibbs, who was a war horse with 81 or 82. Maybe 72 races, who had some needs from a chronic suspensory and a deep digital. Then we have So's, who came back, who's a behavioral horse. And I can talk about the different aspects of what types of horses we take in and why that makes it a little different than your average rescue.
Yeah, I think that's what makes what you're doing interesting, right? Because the first place we always go is physical rehab. But, some horses, and it's not right. We spend a lot of time telling people no, the thoroughbreds just need time to decompress. They just need to have the energy put in a new place, and that's not true for every horse. There are some horses that have a mental hang up or something from racing. And I think that's what does make your nonprofit so interesting, is that you look at those horses as well. Because like you said, you've always been drawn to kind of the quirkier ones.
Yes. I think, were you there? Or was it Ashley when I threw a leg over a horse at the makeover and it went bucking down the asphalt? And I was like, it's okay. He's had 30 rides under saddle. And somebody's like,
oh,
please
that was
don't.
Me.
Yes. Please.
Don't.
I mean, I'm glad you can do this, but please don't encourage people to bring the horses this green to the makeover.
Right. Yeah. You get a free pass. Because
I was like,
we know you're good.
He's fine, right? And I love that horse. He's still in my barn.
But yeah, that was a very iconic Aubrey moment, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was a special makeover. There's lots of stories from that. But that aside, I think there's a couple of different channels, types of horses. We want to call it a taxonomy, whatever words we want to use for categories, right? The horses that come into this. So you have your straight off the track, has some form of challenge, can't find a home. It's not even that it needs a rehab. I'm not really interested in taking horses who have a tendon that need a little bit of time. So many places can do that.
Right. There are many well-established nonprofits
Absolutely.
With bigger, I don't want to say deep pockets, right? Because nobody in nonprofit land has deep pockets.
They have donors and they're established.
They have different routes of funding. Right. Yeah.
So things like, it has a tendon, it needs some layup time. Under certain circumstances, a horse like that might come through, but most of the time it's going to be slightly more difficult cases. And I'm not talking hopeless cases, but, with Spin, nobody wanted to step up for a horse that had a pretty catastrophic looking knee. I mean, we printed this x-ray on sweatshirts. It was so bad. And I sent it off to places for surgery and they're like, nope, not even a candidate. So he was a situation where I was like, well, I don't know what is going to happen to this horse if we don't take him. And so he came home. But it's not, I'm not just doing a layup. Again, those horses might certainly cross, come through the barn within the program at certain points. But the one of the things that I really focus on are these horses who have come off the track, thought they had a soft landing, maybe had some training, maybe did have a great landing, and then just something didn't work out. And maybe the trainer or the rider that got them thought they had it under control and it wasn't. So horses who are great for the first 6 months, but then hit their, they bottom out on their letdown, and all of the muscling, all of the medical aspects, all the things they were on at the track are gone. And now your horse that was rideable for the first 6 months is suddenly sore, lame, undermuscled, rushing, right? All of these things. And somebody doesn't know how to handle it. So those horses are the ones that end up on Craigslist. They're the ones where, it was a low dollar sale from the track, and then it didn't work out. It became harder and harder and harder to ride and hotter. And so people changed what they were feeding or not feeding it, and they bounce, and then they bounce again. And those horses are always ones that I've found I get along with really well. I generally can sort them out. And it often takes a vet as well, and a farrier and body workers and this whole network. So the nonprofit works with those horses too, especially the ones that are just really difficult to place, right? They're not going to resell through a consignment situation terribly well. They need time and they need adjustment. So that's, I think, what makes it a little bit different is that it's these harder case horses, both right at the point where they are coming off the track, but also later in their careers when something happened to their second career and it's just not working.
This is an incredible mission that's very specific and clearly very needed. But then how did you end up in this wine responsibly situation?
Oh. Okay.
This has gotten some social media attention recently, and I saw it, and that's when I was like, all right, we really need to talk to Aubrey about this. So this is getting around, right? Like some people might know who Wine Responsibly is, but yes, please tell us about Wine Responsibly.
Well, I haven't met the horse yet. So here's the great part is he's supposed to show up tomorrow. So in the whole Stall 13 thing, right, we deal with hard cases, things like that. It's really, really tough coming into aftercare when you haven't been around long enough as an organization to get funding, right? So I'm trying to bring horses in and support them, but there's no funding because we can't get grants yet because we haven't existed long enough. So we're running this really weird line of it's a nonprofit, but largely I'm supporting it out of pocket. And that's been really, really tough.
Which I think a lot of people don't know, about you don't just open a nonprofit and grants fall out of the sky on you, right?
Wow.
It's a lot of work and you do need, understandably so, right? An organization like TAA isn't just going to hand out money to anybody who's like, I'm a nonprofit now, here's my form, right? They want to see a track record. So it makes sense, but also it does put you in a really dicey situation. Funding-wise.
We're trying to stay afloat for the number of years to be able to be eligible to get grants to then do bigger things.
Right.
And staying afloat has been tough. I mean, I'm in a new farm. I just bought the farm. It's been a wild ride in the past year and a half. And Major Spin, who I talked about before, who's the one that went to the makeover, has been kind of this flagship horse, but it's been tough to figure out okay, we're keeping him for the makeovers. Is this really going to be worth it in terms of getting him adopted? What is the trade-off? This gets around to Wine Responsibly in a second. And on Saturday of this past week, right, we've just been having pushes and trying to set up for this. We've got a silent auction that we've been putting together for a month or so, probably less than that. We're all very last minute, but we get things done. I should say the board is amazing. This organization is not just me, right? It's we've got an incredible board of people who are very good at things that they do that are not the things that I do, which is called paperwork and fundraising and all these other things. And so on Saturday last week, a young woman came out and tried Major Spin, put him in a trailer, and took him home. And that was this huge kind of capstone to our first horse, right? It's this horse who beat the odds, who had these terrible x-rays. He had knee problems, was sound, did the makeover, did all the things, and then found someone who could ride the horse, not the x-rays, didn't give a damn about what his knee looked like so long as he was able to do the things, and knowing that he can always come back to me if it doesn't work out, right? Which is a big, important thing in this. They can always come home. So that was Saturday. I sat down to dinner with Taylor, my partner, and we had dinner, and then we're just both sitting there for a second looking at our phones, and I was like, uh-oh. And I see that a post from Finger Lakes Finest says this horse is now in need. So backing the story up a week or so ago, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago at this point, Finger Lakes, the track, has been closing. So it's been the end of the meet, and it's been an absolute frenzy. What happens at the end of the meet, most people who deal with track horses know this, but not a lot of people who just take them off the track know, is that most horses cannot stay at the track. They have to either move to winter stalls or they have to move to off property. Finger Lakes doesn't allow anyone to stay at the track over the winter. So everyone who races there has to have a plan for their horses. And a lot of people get caught up at the end of the meet without a great plan. everyone's trying to sell the horses that are not going to compete again in the spring because they're not going to winter a horse that they don't have to, that they're not going to run. So prices drop, horses sell quickly. Horses that would have been $4,000 and $5,000 off the track at Finger Lakes in September are now going for $2,000, $1,500, things like that. So people show up with their trailers and cash, and horses are moving. So what happened with this trainer is someone approached him, called him, chatted through how they were buying the horse for their daughter. The horse has quote unquote knees, right? So this is our weird serendipitous thing with spin. This horse, another chestnut thoroughbred, also has some issues with his knees. We don't have any radiographs. I've been told it's about the extensor tendons coming over the knee are a little bit of a problem. There's some arthritis, but we don't have much information. Lower level life, fantastic. He sells the horse to the woman who says forever home for her kid as a trail riding horse. And within a week, that horse had been traded into a kill pen.
Oh, gosh.
And so this happens. I don't understand the logic behind it. I don't understand who would do that. But I think I don't have the full story either. And here's the fun twist to this, is the actual kind of hero of this story is not really my organization. It's the kill buyer. Because Teddy, who buys and ships to kill pens and auctions to sell to kill buyers, who's in New York, calls the track, people he knows at the track, immediately and says, "Hi, one of your fresh off-the-track racehorses just landed here."
Oh, okay.
Right? Didn't see that coming.
That is a twist, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason this horse is not going to ship, right, meaning he's going to end up in the auction pipeline and end up potentially at slaughter, is because the person who buys horses for sale to these places, right, the kill buyer, called and said, "Hey, this horse is here. You probably should get him out. Otherwise, no one would have known." And that's really what's wild about this, is there is a network for these horses here, and everybody's kind of taking care of them. And even though then, of course, yes, he's not like, "Hey, I'm going to give you the horse," right? You have to bail the horse. You still have to pay for him. He traded another horse. So
yeah. I mean, he is, it's
business.
That's the thing, right?
But,
yeah, it's a business, yeah.
But it's not, his bail was not super jacked up. It wasn't a $6,000 bail. I think we had to pay $1,300 to get this horse out, which is probably what was paid off track, which is probably what was the value of the horse that was traded, more or less. It doesn't seem like anybody's making an outrageous amount of money on this. But again, there's parts of this story that I have not been involved in. I'm just getting secondhand. So Wine Responsibly on day 1 sells off the track. By day 7 is it a kill buyer, and probably by about day 8, Finger Lakes has posted, is aware of this. Finger Lakes Finest has posted that they've got a screenshot of the woman who bought him, right? There's lots of demonization going on, which, on one hand, I don't disagree with. On the other, I feel like I have no idea what the full story is.
Yeah, and it's just generally not that productive either.
No.
I tend to err on the side of listen, can we just help the animal?
And there's a million people on this post just saying, he can come here, we'll get him a safe landing, no big deal, we've got this, and everybody's fundraising. And I was like, great, I will donate, not a big deal. Everybody's going to get this horse out. And then it kind of passes out of my mind, right? I go through the weeks, I go home for Thanksgiving, sitting there at dinner, and that post comes back up where it's like, everyone is panicking, the horse has nowhere to go.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't know, again, all of the I don't knows. I don't know what happened to the original person who was going to take him, or the 14th person who was going to offer the soft landing. I don't know. But the problem is we are in the middle of a epidemic for horses, right? Nobody wants to deal with the flu rhino stuff that's going around. Everyone's worried. Places are thinking about shutting down in the first place. And the last thing anybody wants is a kill pen horse that has been exposed to who knows what, right?
Yeah.
And I see this and I'm just like, oh, crap.
Here's Aubrey and her big old heart again.
Stupid, big old stupid. So I look at this and I'm like, I have no idea how we're going to manage this, but yeah, if he needs somewhere to go, folks, he can come here. And I mean, within 5 minutes, we had it sorted. I had paid shipping, and the horse was bailed. They had already raised the money for bail, but he had nowhere to go. So, I mean, this was one of those where Taylor came back over and tried to have a conversation with me. I was like, absolutely not. Hang on. Just thank you. You're wonderful. Thank you for cooking dinner. He cooks all the time. It's amazing. But please sit quietly and let me sort out what in the world I just got myself into. And, within stall 13, we have the ability for me to make really rash, very quick decisions. Then we come back around and vote on it as a board later. And I was like, look, this is a non-negotiable. It's the community that I'm in here. We can't, basically, if you guys, for whatever reason, say no, I'm still doing this. I'm just doing it as an individual. And that's stupid because there's a lot of people who want to donate. They should be able to get their tax write-offs for this. Like we have an organization for a reason, and it's for tough cases. This is a tough case. This is a hell of an adventure that I never really wanted to be on, but I'm excited to be able to help the horse. So I'm like, okay, I have a 14/15 stall barn. It's all enclosed. There's no real barn-based outbuildings. This horse he hasn't gone to an auction yet, so he hasn't been exposed to everything under the sun, right? But he's been in a mixed herd in a structure in New York. He hasn't left the state. So there's a lot of good things with this where it's not making me panic as much as it would if he had, say, shipped from
Texas or something, right? Yeah.
Right. Which would be a much bigger issue. So I'm like, all right, but still, I run a for-profit business and a nonprofit all under the same roof, separate resources, but I can't risk my business, let alone, obviously the horse is in it. I mean, God forbid something has strangles, right? That's just such a common thing to come through just any sickness. So, okay, how do we do biosecurity? And so now it's been this whole rush of, how am I going to do this? And takes a community, but I have a run-in shed in a back paddock it's about a 12-foot shed. It might be 15 feet, 15 by 10. I mean, it's a big size. It's like a foaling size stall. And I was like, all right, thank goodness Taylor, my partner, is a carpenter, like retired from the Army and ran a carpentry business for a little while. And I was like, so hi. Okay. It's Monday. So this was Sunday night that this happened, right? So Monday, he comes home from work. And I was like, so we need to enclose the shed in the back paddock. I've already bought a round pen. It got delivered today. And I called up my feed store guy and I was like, and Justin Lilly is amazing. And I was like, hey, I'm an idiot. Can you help today? And he's like, okay, when's the horse showing up? I was like, Wednesday, supposedly. Problem is, we're getting a giant snowstorm on Tuesday. So everything kind of has to be done now. And so Taylor enclosed the shed. So basically there's a 5-foot door open right now. He's going to build a half door on it and with a plexiglass window above it. The nice thing is he'll have nice digs. And it doesn't look pretty. It's a plywood wall added to a shed, but it doesn't damn well matter. Filled with straw, it's going to be plenty warm. Because of course it's going to drop to 12 degrees before wind chill on Friday. And this is a recently off track. He's not clipped, but still.
Yeah, he's not got a lot of bulk to him, I bet.
No, not at all. And so we have a round, 15 panel, 12-foot panel round pen that's attached to the shed. It's 30 feet at a minimum from any other horse on my property at any given time. Biosecurity wise, the plan is that I will first thing in the morning, basically in my pajamas and a certain set of outer clothes and boots, go down, feed the horse, come back, shower, scrub, change clothes, start my day, do the rest of the barn, end of the day, can go back to that horse and then back up to the house. So for about a month, it's going to really change rhythms around here and how I do things. And I'm pretty much going to be the only person that touches the horse for a month. And that's the plan, is we're just, 4 weeks. At 3 weeks, if my vet gives me the hey, green light, not a problem, everything's fine, then I can start, getting rid of all the biosecurity protocols. But that's kind of where this is at. I mean, we've just been taking pictures of the process at this point. I was like, okay, he needs his own buckets. He's going to need his own brushes. He's going to need his own blankets, obviously, and extra blankets because he's going to be outside in a run-in that we can enclose, but still, right? It's still really, really cold. And there's no other horses for body heat. And I'm like, all right. And then everything just is going to have to run from the house. So we're going to run a 400-foot extension cord to be able to heat his water. It's this is not ideal. There's nothing about this that is ideal, but it's doable with a little bit of creative thinking and, hardship. And Taylor keeps asking me, he's like, but we're going to lose the amps on the, I don't even know if that's going to work with the extension cords. I was like, we don't really have a choice. It's extension
Right.
cords or
Yeah. You're
solar.
just gotta try, man. Yeah.
And solar in New York requires sun, which we might not see for the next 5 months. So like, that's not going to work. so, so it's just a bunch of kind of duct tape and hay string and, figuring it out as you go, with the precautions being there's like really hard lines on biosecurity stuff and making sure that I protect the horses that are in the barn as well as this horse. And it's just been a wild ride because the community is so, somehow this, caught the attention of the broader racing community, of people, within the Finger Lakes region that care about horses, care about thoroughbreds, the track, all of these things. And it's really amazing to actually be able to step in. And it's quite the privilege to be able to do so. And I really hope that we can do absolutely right by this horse. And I'm also really hoping that he doesn't pose the types of challenges that sometimes come with horses who are coming out of spaces that have been, exposed to pretty much everything under the sun.
Right.
We're expecting, I've got a vet coming on Thursday to do an initial once over, figure out what we need to do, make a plan, decide when he has to come back. We're going to have to do x-rays of the knee. We might have to do an ultrasound of the extensor tendons across the knee or the carpal canal. There's just, it's kind of like, it's a lot of stuff. But we've managed since Monday. What's today? Tuesday? Is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday, right?
Yep. Yeah. So 24 hours.
Great. So basically, since late Sunday night, we have managed to put together from scratch a quarantine facility on my farm that does not have a quarantine facility, and provide all of the supplies to run biosecurity and keep this horse safe and warm. And the outreach from the community has been amazing. So yes, that's kind of the rundown. And oddly, and again, the kicker being the person shipping him to me, because again, you can't. How do you ship? It's what's called a dirty load. I don't love the terms.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But so again, anthropologist, I'm a discourse person. I'm like, oh, interesting. But when you're shipping from a kill pen or an auction house, a lot of shippers will say, I don't run dirty loads, meaning they're not taking from places where the horses haven't necessarily been properly vaccinated, where all the germs are floating about, and their trailer's going to get, quote unquote, gross. So I was like, how do we even get this horse here? And Teddy will ship him. So I will get a chance to meet the kill buyer on Wednesday. And which is interesting, because I actually will talk to him and be like, hey, I need to do an interview with you for my own research, right? The stuff I'm working on, because they're a really interesting like point in this chain, and not just the black hole horrible people and like negative industry that everybody thinks they are. So there's so much more nuance to it. So I'm like, we need to fill in a few of those gaps to be able to understand how this all works, as opposed to just making a straw man that's like easy to punch against, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is fascinating.
So anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. And supposedly Teddy's bringing Wine Responsibly, who will get a barn name at some point, which will not be Wine. Just too easy. All the Vina
and also
Rosas,
maybe not like Responsibility, because
I'm like, this horse is going to make me drink irresponsibly. So I mean,
that too. Yes.
I will whine irresponsibly in dealing with the quarantine that I have to manage.
What a ride! My gosh.
Yeah. And it's Tuesday, and this started on Sunday night, and it's absolutely wild. And I think the serendipity of like Spin selling, I always say selling because I'm a reseller, getting adopted. He's our first horse we've adopted. I've got to change my language. Spin getting adopted on Saturday, and literally Wine Responsibly coming on the radar again as needing a spot, being another Finger Lakes chestnut thoroughbred who has knees and somehow needs some form of rescue. And it's like, well, thanks, Spin. You opened that spot up, and somehow this is extremely full circle. And yeah, here we are. So hopefully he shows up in good shape. I texted Teddy today and was like, hey, can you tell me when you're shipping? And also, could you send me some updated photos? And I mean, immediately he was like, here's like 6 photos of the horse. Looks like he's in pretty good condition. He's sitting there with a round pen with like 3 other horses under one of those, I don't know what you call them, the big plastic, like indoors. I'm talking about the ones that have like the sheeting over them. They're not ad hoc. This is nothing that looks poor. This is like one of those big structures that is
Like a hay hut or like a
no, I'll send you the picture. It's basically this.
like a big shed?
It's like an indoor, right? You know, those people
Oh.
that do the indoors that they're like covered in like a
Oh, yeah,
stretched
yeah.
plastic as opposed to wood.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that. So he's basically in a small
Interesting.
one of those.
Okay.
So he's there and with a couple other horses looking just fine. And then he was in an enclosed stall by himself in another couple photos. But again, this person like responded to me within 10 minutes, got back to me with photos of the horse. It's the correct horse. You know, these are good things. I've had that happen in the past where people are like, oh yeah, your horse is doing great. He's drinking great. He's eating great. And then they hand me a bay horse off the
Not
trailer. And I was
the right
like,
horse.
mine's the red one. And they're like, oh, that one's a jerk. I didn't tell you about that one. Oops. And you're like, yeah, it's my horse. So anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens when he walks off the trailer tomorrow. And I've got a nice spot for him to walk down to. And hopefully we're all prepped. And then it's just going to be adjusting to the new routine.
That is wild. Okay, so just to add some context for listeners, so this episode is coming out on December 10th. So we're talking Monday, Tuesday. We're talking like this was happening November 30th, Monday, December 1st. We're recording Tuesday the 2nd. So by the time this is dropping, hopefully the horse is settled in. You know, you've kind of getting a routine down, posting some updates. So where can listeners kind of follow along with this story?
So Stall 13 Thoroughbreds on Facebook is where we'll have the most up-to-date updates. I'll also be posting them on my Facebook, which is AP Graham. And then we will probably have a page on the website, which is www.stall1313.org.
Wonderful. All right. Well, best of luck. Hopefully Wine Responsibly settles in well and is nice and healthy and ready to go. But we're really interested in following along with this journey. And listeners, if you're interested in sending a donation to Wine Responsibly just to help support his care, because this is such an unusual story, definitely check out stall13.org. 'Tis the season. Score savings on your favorite thoroughbred apparel in the RRP store this season. Use code HOHO25 to save 20% off your entire store order at therrp.org/shop now through December 19th.
Want to reach a passionate, engaged audience of horse lovers? The Horse Radio Network, with thousands of listeners worldwide, offers unique sponsorship opportunities to connect your brand with horse owners, riders, and enthusiasts. Over 90% of our listeners have bought a product from a HRN ad in the past year. Partner with HRN and take your brand to the next level. Visit www.horseradionetwork.com/advertise today.
Well, we are back with our favorite thoroughbred and standardbred retrainer, because I think it is a rare breed that does both. Welcome back to the show, Bridget.
Hello.
What do you have more of in the barn right now, standardbreds or thoroughbreds?
Standardbreds, but it's pretty close because I just, I have my next year's makeover horse now too.
Oh, super. Ooh, do we get a little sneak peek on that?
She's a cutie. She's another one from Amanda Vance in New York, because I told her just to start sending them to me. Don't even ask, because she's picked me out such good ones the last few years. So
you guys are such enablers of each other. I love that.
Really are. But she's a beautiful bay mare. She gives hunter vibes, but we're gonna go do the ranch thing because that's my favorite. So she might, be a hunter later on, but she's gonna learn to work cows first.
No, you've picked my favorite soapbox. So thank you for this, because no, really, because a lot of people look and they're like, oh, this horse kind of like is a little short strided. It should do the ranch work. And I'm like, no. We want a good mover, like a good hunter type mover does really well in ranch.
Yes.
Every time.
You still like that, lifting of the back and the rounding and a good length of
those
stride
nice,
to them.
sweeping strides. Yeah, exactly.
It's not about going slow. It's about getting work done.
Right. Yeah. If you've ever had to actually go across a pasture to do something, you do not want like bink, 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 bink. Like nobody has time for that. Like, no, we're trotting. Like we're going.
Let's go.
Love it. All right. Well, we have a bit It's kind of a training question, just kind of a general standardbred question for you this evening. We were looking at pictures of our very cool adoptable horse that we can't wait to talk about. And I've noticed this on Wes, and I'm sure we've asked this before, but we're going to ask it again because I know we get new listeners all the time. What are the little white kind of circular like scars that you can see on a lot of standardbreds' legs?
So those are freeze firing marks, and they are often mistaken for pin firing. And everybody has this very barbaric idea that these standardbreds are having hot pins shoved through their legs, and that's not what's going on. So freeze firing is using, the liquid nitrogen, the cryogenic type stuff. And what they do is they block the leg in the area that they want to freeze fire. So if you are freeze firing a splint, for example, a broken splint bone, they'll block the horse from the knee down. And then they will, insert the needles with the liquid nitrogen into that area to promote blood flow and healing. And, the horse also gets rest as well. But it's, again, used to expedite healing, further it along. But the horse is fully blocked when this is happening. They're not feeling this. Nobody's just coming at them with frozen needles. But it does, like freeze branding, it does leave the hair white where it was done. So you can see that the horse has been freeze fired. And again, common locations for that include splint bones, curbs on the hock, and then suspensory ligament. If they've, strained a suspensory ligament, they'll frequently be freeze fired there.
So when you're looking at a prospect, you see that then as like, ooh, red flag, this horse was freeze fired at some point, something happened to it.
Not necessarily. A lot of times when you look at a horse with freeze firing marks on their legs, if you stopped and you painted that horse's legs black or whatever color that horse is, you wouldn't notice anything because there's no swelling, there's no lumps, there's no bumps. Everything healed up really beautifully. Sometimes when you have a bowed tendon on any breed of horse, you still get that big profile afterwards. And you might be a little more worried about that because of probably more damage was done there versus a horse that healed up nice and tight, no lumps, no bumps. No
Actually,
heat.
that's a really good point. Because like Wes has a couple of those. And if I just swiped over them with black paint, I would not know they were there.
You wouldn't. Yeah. You wouldn't know they were there. And I actually have a thoroughbred who has freeze fired splints as well. And he's my only thoroughbred that has freeze fire marks, but he does have them.
That is interesting. Is it a little bit of like a cultural thing, like between standardbreds and thoroughbreds? Because you don't see a lot of thoroughbreds with those.
I think so. I do think it's something that has, just stuck around the standardbred tracks more. And one of the interesting things, so I have known some people with standardbreds that also have riding horses that have, freeze fired their riding horses as well, and have been very happy with the success of it. And they got a lot of flack, but, they were happy with the results and did not care if their horse had a couple of white dots on its leg.
Yeah, generally speaking, like if my horses have banged up legs, like scarred, like it's something that they've done under my care. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, like Wes has a scar from, I don't even know what he got into, but he did it the first summer that we had him, and he was like, hello, my leg. And I was like, oh my God, so yeah, I'm not opposed to a couple lumps and bumps. We all have them. It is what it is.
Right. And it's not to say horses that, maybe did a tendon that didn't get freeze fired are less sound. It's something to view the whole horse with, but it's certainly, freeze fire marks are not something that make me run away from a horse as a prospect.
Yeah, just one tool in an ever expanding toolbox of ways to encourage more healing. So
yeah, it's sometimes when you've got a fracture, you cast and you heal that way, and sometimes you put pins in. And is one always better than the other? Not necessarily. It's such a case by case thing. And freeze firing, like you said, is just another tool in that toolbox for some soft tissue injuries.
Love it. All right. So do not let that turn you away from a horse, folks. It's just fun little dot patterns that you can enjoy in their second career. So speaking of, we noticed that when we were looking at pictures of tonight's featured adoptable horse, who really, I don't even know why that's what I noticed, because this horse has so many other amazing qualities. Tell us about Chin Chin Hall. He's a hunk.
He is a hunk. He is a massive hunk of a horse. Just a big, beefy guy, a solid 16'3" and just sturdy. He is also our resident barn clown. Standardbreds like to play with their heads anyway, but he likes to play with his tongue a lot. He likes to, beatbox with his lips a little bit. He sticks his entire face in his water trough up to his eyeballs to drink water. And he's just a goof. He's a big, goofy guy. And, for all his silliness, he's got such a great work ethic. And that doesn't surprise me. And I know this number always startles thoroughbred people, he only had 76 starts.
Only.
Which for a standardbred is not all that many. It's less than the average, I would say. And he won about $900,000 in those 76 starts. So he was a very class horse who had a very good work ethic on the track, and it's transferred really well to under saddle. He marched right off the first time I sat on him, and he has just gone right to work. They were putting in fence the first day I rode him, and I rode him up to the post setters and all the equipment, and he did not care at all. Just a really smart, good work ethic, good moving kind of guy. He's going to be a cool horse for somebody. He's got a lovely trot to ride, which is another rarity. Sometimes these trotters have a trot that will send you into the ceiling when you're posting, and his is quite nice. So
it's beautiful. I just watched the video and I was like, whoa, look at him. Just he, going back to our previous discussion, he has like that hunter style trot. Yeah, he just glides around. And he sounds kind of weird. So it sounds like the kind of horse my husband doesn't think he wants, but is still drawn to him. And he loves a big bay. And my husband is 6'3". So this 16'3" hand lad would be perfect for him.
That would be good. And he has all the Frisian hair, like so much mane and tail. You've never seen so much mane and tail. I thought the last horse we talked about had all the hair. This horse walked in the barn and was like, I see your mane and I raise you double that.
It looks thicker. Yeah. Like the other guy had long, but this is like, woof.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. All right. So you're also running a holiday adoption special, right? So I should get this horse for my husband?
You should. Because yes, our adoption fees right now, which are already very reasonable, are half off. So you can't beat a good off the track horse for half what they usually are. And so you want to make sure you get those applications in, because the sale, they have to be picked up by the end of December. So, we got the holiday in there, so you got to jump on it before that. So you don't want to miss the trainers taking maybe a day off, half a day off, few minutes off.
Yeah, it does. It seems to happen that somehow my extremely just very reasonable, level-headed husband just has very odd animals sort of drawn to him. So when you're like, he puts his head up into his eyeballs, I was like, bingo, bango, this one's for Eric. Oh, love it. All right, Bridget, where can we find Chin Chin Hall and all of his other adoptable friends?
You can find them at horseadoption.com or newvocations.org. Click on our horses and see all of the beautiful standardbreds and thoroughbreds that we have available for you.
You can find our show notes and links to today's guest on the website at horseradionetwork.com. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Tired Racehorse Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. You can find me on Instagram at hotgirlsummer.ottb, and that's girl with a U. And my email is rbeamer95@gmail.com.
You can find me on Instagram and Threads at The Horseback Writer, and my email is kristen@horseradionetwork.com. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products and the Horse Radio Network, and to our partners, New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program and the Retired Racehorse Project. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network, at horseradionetwork.com. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Always embrace your chestnut mare.
And always cowside leg.